So we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to cover just introductions and icebreakers. Jen will go over our project and priority issues. I'll go into how to start contributing and working with us. And then there's time for Q&A and how to keep in touch. So first off, my name is Vic. I use they, them pronouns. Currently, I'm based in Mexico City, and I'm the community manager for Arachne Digital. I've been involved in open source spaces for or on and off kind of, but for about 10 years, starting with Open Austin in Austin, Texas. And outside of like art and open source, or outside of, I guess, like tech and open source, I like art and poetry and just hanging out with different communities and nature and stuff. Kate is out today because they're sick, so we hope he gets better. But I will kick it off to you, Jen.
Thanks, Vic. So I'm Jen. I was wondering if I play a little game in my head being like, how well do I know my co-founder? So Cade had humble beginnings in criminology and then really like self-taught cybersecurity and wanted to switch into that field. They are the brains and behind this, they are the designer of this. The three of us have all volunteered at Mozilla MozFest. But I think Cade is the link because I don't think I met Vic until this project, bizarrely. So I met Cade like nearly 10, no, it can't be, like over 5 years ago. For me, my background is computer science. I've been a software engineer in public sector. I went off to live in New Zealand for a couple of years, did a master's, and then worked on a prototype based on a design Cade had. And that has turned into the lovely thing that is Arachne. And I will be your point of contact for all things technical.
Awesome, thank you. And so what is Arachne? We're a global cybersecurity startup. So we help organizations with consulting and the open source tool that you're going to learn more about today, Thread, via access to a threat intelligence database. So you can learn more about Arachne by visiting our website. There's lots of blog posts on there. There it is. I just linked it. That kind of cover the use cases and functionality and some of the progress that's happened too. So we kind of exist between the cybersecurity space and the open source software space. So I don't know how familiar you are with open source software, but it's all about developing and maintaining like kind of collaborative code and systems that's available for use and modification and redistribution. And then cybersecurity is protecting like digital networks. And I think it's interesting because when I first started, I didn't think that these two things went together, but I learned that that's not the case exactly. And if you learn anything or want to connect with us during this presentation, you can find us on LinkedIn and Blue Sky as well. So this is kind of where we take time to learn more about you and where you're at. Since it's small, if you're able to get off of mute or want to share video, you're welcome to. If not, you can just share in the chat. But as I mentioned, I'm in Mexico, Kate's in New Zealand, and Jen.
Oh, I'm in London.
Yeah, sorry, you were on mute.
I'm in Los Angeles. Let's see where else. Current time is 12 p.m.
Oh, nice.
And an emoji?
There's an emoji.
I can't really. I don't know. I don't know if there's an emoji that I vibe with at this current time. There's.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I'm a big fan of the sparkle always. I feel like I think being in Mexico, because I'm not from here originally, maybe my emoji usage. No, wait, top emoji is the sunflower for me, actually. Okay. Cool. And
I would say this emoji would be my
oh, the thinking face. All right, that's a good.
like, I'm in the US, so I'm like, what the hell's going on? Like,
I feel that I was in the US. And yeah, this is kind of the time if you want to tell us a little bit more about yourself and any interests you have in this event. I'm assuming that you found us through the Hack for LA Slack, possibly, but maybe that's not the case.
yeah, I found you through the Hack for LA Slack channel. A little bit more about me. My interests are in software development, self-taught, and the past few years I've been looking for more events and more open source projects that resonate with me and my interests that are also open for contributions. That's why I was really interested and surprised to find something that was specifically tailored for cybersecurity, which is something that I've been interested in. I've been going to a few meetups around that, like some pen testing, junior pen testing events and stuff like that. And it's nice to see something that doesn't have AI in the title.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's it. I think that's good feedback. Sorry, I'm taking a few notes.
That's fine.
So I guess just so you know a little bit about us, or us too, I guess. My background's not in cybersecurity or tech, it's more in design and communications. But yeah, being in open source spaces for like the past 10 years, I've learned a whole lot and have contributed and learned some things about code, but Jen is gonna go more into like technical details and be your main point of contact for all things in that realm. So yeah, if you have any questions as we're going through this, feel free to stop us right in the chat or wait until the Q&A, because yeah, I think being newer to the cybersecurity world, there's like so many different like avenues or things to explore, like really get into. So like you mentioned, like penetration testing, and while that's not something we do, there's an organization that we're partnered with, Black Mirage, that does stuff more of that nature. And if you're in our Slack or our email list, or just following us on social media, you could find more resources or organizations or groups that you might be interested in learning about or getting more involved in. Okay. Let's see. Jen, I don't know if you have anything you want to share before in regards to all of that, or if you just want to go into the project pitch.
No, like I'm really happy that we're providing a space that's the blend of open source and cybersecurity. I did some cybersecurity as part of my degrees. I do fall to Cade to be the one that's like our fountain of knowledge. We're all learning. So yeah, we're more than happy to learn from others and also provide knowledge.
Awesome. All right, so you can take over the slides now.
Wicked. So I will be going through a couple of the open source projects that Arachne are maintaining, and some of our priorities for them. So on our GitHub, we have a few repos right here. We have something called Spindle, which is like a dictionary of threat actors. So a threat actor could be an organization, a group, a hacker, and like organizations might have different keywords or different terms for a group. So Cade has like compiled this list, which is like a dictionary and the aliases. So that's Spindle. Community is Vic's realm. So once we're done with the slides for any presentation, Vic kindly uploads it to our community repo, and you'll find other resources there too, which we'll talk about later. But the two we've got in that big bright red box are the two that we want to chat about today. So Thread and Tracery are two of our open source projects where we're actively looking for developers, contributors, and they're kind of like the meatier repos out of the ones we've got because they relate to our product. Thread was initially started by a group called MITRE. So they had an open source project called Tram. When we picked up Tram and we forked it, it didn't have any updates. But since then, MITRE have done updates to Tram, and the changes have been so huge that we haven't been able to marry them. So Thread has become its own entity off of Tram. And Thread is an open source tool that is to do with mapping of threats to text. So I know, Billy, you're a bit averse to hearing AI. In the AI like bubble, part of that is machine learning. And Thread uses machine learning models that, based on text, will predict what threat is it talking about. So this project came with initial models, with initial training data, and we have since kind of grown those models on our live version of Thread. But the open source version has those initial models from the original fork. So the flow of it is you might have a report or an article on a website. We have legal reasons where you have to make sure that this is one that like you're able to submit it to us, because there are some where they say in their terms and conditions, no web scraping. You submit that to us, we get the text of it, and then going through the text will tell you, is this sentence talking about this threat? Yep, so as I said, Thread was initially forked from MITRE's Tram project. I think we've got a link there on the slide about maybe the origins of Tram and why it exists, coming from MITRE themselves. So Cade, who has been using Thread, he's doing the analyst side of things. He noted that he's finding these mappings so much more quicker to do with our tool rather than if you had some text and you had to go line by line. So that's the benefit that we want to give to users, for analysts to be able to say, here's an article that's talking about this event. I kind of want to get a breakdown of what threats are being discussed. We also have expanded from Tram's functionality to include things like extra data on it, a lot of date fields, maybe the categories or industries that are being mentioned, just more information you can do. So it really is just a tool about mapping to articles. Yours truly, I've previously done a walkthrough of Thread. So this is a video where we kind of go from the beginning about how to set up your environment, going through if you're maybe new to open source and new to seeing something on GitHub you want then on your machine. So yeah, we've got a presentation from, oh, I see the timestamp. We've got Cade also on that call doing a walkthrough, and then I talk through on that video about how to go from viewing it on GitHub to having it on your machine and getting set up. Sorry, I've been seeing like the chat has gone off. Have I missed anything? Oh, right.
Oh, I'm just sharing all the links and resources that are relevant.
Thanks, Vic. The Tracery is the other open source tool that we forked, and it was forked from Cirx. Cirx is a meta search engine. So it's a search engine that goes off to other search engines. We wanted to use this tool because, like, given threats, given news that's out there, we kind of want to search other sources to get back URLs and data about that or about threat actors. So Cirx has, I think, within the last few months, has said that they're no longer maintaining their repo. So it's now an archived repo on GitHub, which means that us as maintainers of the fork, we want to make sure that we do all our updates and make sure it's still fit for purpose and it's still running. So yeah, this is a tool where it is a meta search engine, a search engine of other search engines. Oh, and the link at the bottom, I forgot to say this for Thread. For Thread, you can use Thread locally. So the walkthrough tells you how to get it set up and running on your machine, or you can use it live on our site. Tracery is one that we are not hosting live because I think there's a lot of extra security steps we need to do if we were to host a live version. But it is a project that we think the community will find useful. We know that people have spoken highly of Cirx. So we're hoping to do our bit to maintain a fork of that. Yeah, so some recent updates. I think this has been in the past, like 6 months, maybe. So Thread, we did a refactor. There were some files where, I'll admit, I was letting some files grow a bit long, so we were just doing some tidy up. So if any fresh faces, new eyes were looking at it, it's easier to pick up. That's the intention, but we're always open to hearing feedback for if you do pick up looking at Thread and you are finding anything a bit difficult, then we are always open to refactoring. So feel free to just say. Tracery, yep, the update there is that Cirx is no longer maintained. And we've got a priority issue number 26, which I don't know off the top of my head, but I'm going to go through the priorities in another slide. Yep, so for Thread, we are partnered with something called the Disarm Foundation, and they have something called the Disarm Framework. And this is a framework about combating disinformation. So as much as Thread is currently all about mapping text to cybersecurity threats and malware, this would be an exciting implementation that we do want to see done so that analysts can tag things about disinformation. The UX and UI, yeah, we do want to do an overhaul of that. We haven't done any significant changes. And as fields grow for an article, we could imagine that, like for a user, it might be better to have this organized. Tracery, we want to make sure we're doing our bit in ensuring like we are checking for memory unsafe code and doing migration of migrate any elements found to memory safe languages. So both Thread and Tracery are Python projects. Thread has JavaScript on the front end. Tracery, so Thread uses a framework called AIO HTTP. Tracery uses Flask. But if there's anything under the hood about memory safe or memory unsafe rather languages or components, we want to just do a check of that. And because, as I said, Tracery is a search engine of search engines, we just want to build a maintenance process for supported search engines. So we want to make sure that we are up to date with the search engines. And we've had issues before where it will go off into a search and errors are flagged because search engine X over there is now offline. So a maintenance process for that. Before we go to any questions, Vic, do you think I missed anything out?
I think I would just add in like my the way I kind of overview or kind of see things, because yeah, I think also coming in as a newbie, the way I see Thread, because I know you're talking about like penetration testing, Billy, like in terms of like where it sits in cybersecurity, I kind of equate it to almost like healthcare. With cyber threat intelligence is like, oh, we need to like ingest all this information to see like what the potential threats are, so we can put safety measures in place, and then penetration testing would come after we test the safety measures that we put into place. So I see Thread as like helping people before things, you know, get bad, or just being aware of how to keep things healthy and safe and secure digitally. So that's kind of where we fit in. And yeah, Jen knows more of like the technical details in terms of if you have any questions for those kinds of contributions. But yeah, do you have anything or any questions you would like to ask?
No, I don't really have a lot of questions. I'm fully aware that I feel like my mention of pen testing may have caught you guys off guard, because in general, I'm very interested in the cybersec space as a whole. At the point in time, I'm just looking for opportunities to make contributions and do some cool stuff.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah. So I don't really have any questions that I could think of.
Okay, cool. And I'm gonna go into how you can like start contributing, and then of course, you know, once you dive into everything, if you have any questions after, you can chat with us. So one of the first things that we recommend is just getting familiar with our code of conduct and contribution guidelines. These are in our GitHub community repo. So if this is like the best place to start, if you're like, okay, like I think, you know, this sounds interesting to me. If all of this looks good to you, then we can like kind of move forward, and you can work to find an issue that's open in our GitHub repo that piques your interest. So I gave a link earlier, and there was one sent in email, but again, I don't know if Git or Eventbrite's weird. I'll send a follow-up email that has it as well, and I'll drop the link one more time here. Yeah, we're GitHub, and just like getting more familiar with Thread and Tracery, looking at their code, since I know you're a developer, and seeing the current open issues there. That's the best way to get started. Once you see something you're interested in, you can leave a comment. You know, we'll respond if you have any questions, and then you're welcome to also join us in Slack and say hello. We have different channels in there if you have questions about contributing, or just, you know, want to check in with Jen and Cade, the co-founders, about Arachne Digital and the work that we're doing. Or, you know, sometimes we'll just post articles that are relevant to cybersecurity, or things that are more fun and random. So this is kind of how to join us and keep in touch. That's mostly the end. So I don't know. Again, any further questions? Have you, I guess, contributed to an open source project before with Hack for LA, or are you still kind of, I guess, on the hunt for something to start with?
I'm currently, I have made open source contributions to Hack for LA. I don't know if you're familiar with how they do things, but in their onboarding process, I'm kind of stuck at a point where there's like very little work to do. So I'm looking for other projects that could interest me.
Okay, cool. Awesome. I'm somewhat familiar with their onboarding process. It's been a minute though. I know it's a kind of involved because they have a lot of contributors or people that are interested.
Yeah, it's a giant checklist on GitHub that really introduces you to how to set up the Docker container, do you work on your first issue, create issues, and incrementally have this get bigger. And also document them at the same time, since as a developer, I'm basically told what to do by project managers, and then they have to decide what to do based off of their teams of researchers, because it's just such a massive project. But
Gotcha.
I'm stuck in a space where like I'm waiting for other people to help me to move forward.
Okay, I see. Well, yeah, if you want to take some time to look through our GitHub, and as mentioned, if there's something that you're interested in there, just leave a comment. Or I don't know if I don't think you're in our Slack, but if you'd like to join, I'll drop the link. I think that's the next thing, how to stay in touch. Yeah, so we're in Slack. Our time zones are all over the place. Just ask. You're welcome to ask a question whenever, and then whoever's awake will answer or point you to the right direction. I'm going to drop a link here. It's not a super noisy Slack either. We also have an email list. I think there was a question on the form if you'd like to join it. It's low volume right now, but we just share some of the articles that are written that are relevant to Arachne and cyber threat intelligence or open source projects, any news that might be in our field. I know there's been a lot of updates with MITRE. And if you want maybe less noise in your inbox or on your Slack, then you're always welcome to join us on LinkedIn and Blue Sky. And we would really appreciate your feedback too, especially since you're familiar with other open source onboardings, like with Hack for LA. If there's anything you think we could have covered a little bit differently or gone more in depth on, that is really appreciated. And I'll drop the link one more time. And yeah, I usually send all of this in a follow-up as well. I might give it a minute to make sure it doesn't get lost in the ether with the AWS issues. Cool, and that's all we have to share for today. Jen, I don't know if you have anything else, or Billy, if there's any closing words, but I will be sharing this on YouTube, and yeah, probably giving like a day before I send the follow-up email, just so I can, it doesn't get messed up.
Okay. No, I don't think I have much else to say at this point.
Awesome.
Yeah, I don't think anything else from me apart from wishing you all the best, Billy, on your cybersecurity journey. Feel free to reach out to us.
Nice. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.